Hello folks, hope you're all doing well. I thought I would follow up on my video from the other day with what seeds to sow, and if I swap hands here very quickly, you will see I've got all the different seeds, all the different varieties, and a wrapper for some nails. It's in the back there, it's in my pocket. But I'm going to be sowing those today, and what I thought I'd do is just worth sort of taking you through how I'm going to sow the seeds at this time of year, because it's a little bit different. So I've got this out here, the Garland Super 7, and some of these little propagation trays that you see here as well. So I'll take you through how I'm going to set up. So I'll pop in here into the shed where I've got the little potting area sort of set up, and we'll take you through that, the mix I'm going to use, the seeds I'm going to put in, how I'm going to do it, and how I'll put it together. So I'll get set up in there, and I'll be back with you in just a jiffy. Right, hopefully you can see me squashed in up there. I've got you right up next to the roof, but the reason for that is so you can see more sort of what I'm doing here as opposed to seeing my ugly mug doing this. And in the interests of honesty, you know, all things open, I can only find 5 of my 7 trays that go on the Super 7 propagator. So I'm only going to be sowing 5 different types of seeds today, but that's okay. So I'm not going to double up the onions. So I had 2 different types of onions, I'm just going to do 1. And I had 2 different types of leeks, I'm just going to do 1. But I will try and locate the other 2 trays somewhere and get these done anyway. First things first, I've just got some general multi-purpose compost here, but what I am going to do is run it through the sieve. Now this sieve that I'm using here was only a few quid off Amazon. I don't even know it was that much. It wasn't very expensive at all. Now admittedly, it didn't last too long, and it does have a bit of a hole in the bottom, and I replaced it with one of those soil mills. But as Steve over at Green Side Up says, it's really important to sieve your compost when you're going to be putting seeds in it. And there's many different reasons for that. I'll not sort of duplicate what he said, but take my word for it, it's better to sieve your compost than not. So we're going to run this through, and I'll not bore you with that. So as if by magic, in 2 seconds I'll come back and all this compost will be sieved. Right, so I've got a nice big sifted pile of compost here, and you might be able to see some little white flecks in it. And what I've done is I've just added some of this is perlite, but you can also get something called vermiculite, which is very similar sort of stuff. And what it does is it sort of aerates the compost, stops it from becoming all sort of sticky and claggy when it gets wet. It also holds on to a level of moisture, so when the seeds or the little plants or anything that's in there is grown, needs any sort of water, it can get it from there as well. But it just sort of aerates it, breaks it up, keeps it all nice and fluffy and light in there. So we'll grab one of these little sort of seed trays here, and this all comes as part of the kit with the Garland Super 7, and I'll pop a link in the description down below, and you can go and have a wee look at it, because it's the one that I use, and it's absolutely brilliant. I've been using it for I don't know, 12 months or so now, and it's absolutely grand, and especially this time of year. I mean, I've got my hat and my jacket on today. It's absolutely freezing outside. I was up at the plot earlier on today, just doing some boring jobs, didn't do any filming up there, but it was bitterly cold. But right, so we filled that up to about, I don't know, it's about 1/2 inch off the top or so, not bad. And we'll get a little dabber here, and I'm just going to compress that down a little bit. And when I say I'm compressing it down, I am just very lightly pushing on the top there. I don't want it squashed in and really tightly compressed. It's just lightly pushed down. And what I want to do is create a sort of firmish but softish kind of surface, if that makes sense. So when the seeds sit on there, there's no little air pockets and no little gaps or anything like that they're going to fall into, and then they won't germinate because they're not getting what they need. So what I need to do next is fill up the other 4 of these tubs. And I heard that, well, I heard from the cat's down here, you'll have to excuse me, it's just coming for a visit. He must have known we were filming. Anyway, I heard that if I click my fingers, magically all these tubs will fill up with this compost. So let's give that a try. So the magic worked, and we have 5 tubs filled with the perlite and compost mix. And if we have a look in here, right on the very end, I've even remembered to put labels on the end of them all, which is something I'm trying to be better at this year. I'm terrible for it, and I always end up getting things mixed up. So we'll just use these as an example of how we're going to do it. They're all going to be very similar again. These are the Zebraun Shallots, and a little hint with these can, if you fancy growing these can be a little bit difficult to get a hold of at times. So I'd recommend visiting our friends at DT Brown, getting some bought early in the season, or they have a habit of disappearing pretty quickly. Now, I don't have an exact number here, it's not exact science, I've just got some. Let me find the right pot, and that is this one that they're going to go in. So I'm just going to sprinkle them over the top there, space them out quite nicely, and there's maybe, I don't know, I've maybe put about 20 seeds in there or so, thereabouts. Bearing in mind I've already got some shallots up at the plot that are grown from set, and I'm just going to put a thin layer of our compost mix on the top to do that. There it is, and again we get our little friend here and we just press it down again, making sure we've got that contact between the seeds and the compost mix to make sure we get the highest rates of germination possible, because there will be some in there that don't germinate, but we'll try and get as many as possible on the go. Right, next thing to do is to get all the rest of these filled up, and I'll come back to you in just a jiffy. And there we have it, all 5 trays of seeds are all sown up, ready to go. These 3 here, we've got the onions, the shallots and the leeks, and we've got the 2 different types of chilies here at the end. Again, I'll put in the description below what the different seeds are that have been sown here today. But one thing I would say, please remember labels. I know I'm terrible at it, I'll admit it, but certainly the onions, the shallots and the leeks for weeks will look very, very, very similar. The seeds look identical, and when they start to grow they will look identical, but keep the little labels on them and I'll tell you what's what. And then I've got the 2 different varieties of chili here at the end. Right, last thing to do, 2 seconds, I'm just going to grab something. We've got the little lids here that go on top of the trays that go on the heated propagator, so we'll pop them on, and you will notice that on the top there's a little vent. Generally I'll keep the little vent closed to begin with, and it creates a nice humid atmosphere inside here to get these started, which is important. And then it comes with this rather funky little tray, which is quite a nice width in that it'll fit on a windowsill, a window ledge. And all you do is you pop, oh, if I don't drop them, the little trays on the big tray, and then I'm going to take them back up to the house, plug it in, and this will warm this up nicely. Now I guess a couple of things with this. One, the chilies take around about 20 degrees C plus to germinate anyway, regardless of what the temperature or anything like's outside. Onions, leeks and shallots, you know, they'll germinate a lot lower temperature than that, but you know, up here in Scotland we've got a really short growing season, and this gives me so much of a head start on things and getting them germinated, getting them grown, getting them out there. And what I'm going to do with all of these as well, once they've germinated and the plants are a decent size, they're going to go into the grow lights in the house as well. Now I appreciate not everybody has a heated propagator, not everybody has grow lights, but what I'm showing you here is pretty much what the art of the possible is for getting stuff started nice and early. Anyway, I think that's me done just about for today. Thank you very much for watching, folks. If you wouldn't mind, it's absolutely free to give us a subscribe. You just click the wee button down below. Maybe give us a thumbs up or leave us some comments. Let us know what sort of stuff you're sowing at this time of year. I think there's loads and loads of chilies on the go from what I've seen on YouTube and different forums and things. It's always good to know what varieties people are doing. Anyway, thanks very much for watching, folks, and I'll see you again on the next one. Bye for now.